4:30, graduation season, right? Time for parties, time for celebrations. All of that comes along with some good and some bad.
Yeah, state police have some important reminders. And Luke Hydash is your reporter live in Cromwell with more on especially what parents need to know, Luke.
Right. Hello there, Kara and Brian. Well, the state does have some laws on the books that will hold adults accountable if they host these underage drinking parties, even if they're not home. Summertime can be one of the deadliest on the road, especially for teenagers. Of course, teens themselves can get in a world of hurt for drinking and driving. Adults, too. The state's social host law allows police to charge adults who host these parties, even if you're not home, but allow underage drinking to happen on your property. Nicole Wachowski with Mothers Against Drunk Driving says this time of year with graduation celebrations, it's important to have a conversation with your teen.
Setting those clear boundaries and expectations ahead of time, and also talking about what the consequences are when those rules and boundaries are broken, really helps kids to understand and make better decisions.
If you're caught and charged, what are the consequences? That's ahead in our news at 5:30. Your reporter live in Cromwell today, Luke Hydash, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
All right, Luke, thank you very much.